In Miami Saturday night, the U.S. government restricted prominent Cuban exile leaders in that city to Dade County and warned them, quote, not to depart from the U.S. until further notice, unquote. Exile leaders and prominent members of the refugee community were visited by agents of the U.S. Immigration Department and handed notices of the restrictions. Violation of the order could result in a fine of $5,000 or 5 years in prison or both. The action came after the state and Justice Departments announced a crackdown against any future exile raids on communist Cuba. The order drew angry reaction from Cuban exiles, one of whom said, quote, this is the last straw. No invasion, no government in exile, no jobs, and now no more attacks on Castro. It looks like Castro has won, unquote. The restrictions came 2 days after Soviet-built Cuban fighter jets fired on an American cargo freighter, the Floridian, in international waters off Cuba. There were no casualties and no hits were scored. The new restrictions are clearly aimed at preventing such incidents from boiling over into a new crisis with Soviet Premier Nikita Khrushchev. At today's press conference, President Kennedy was asked about the challenges involved in preventing raids by the Florida-based exiles.
Obviously, Florida, it's long coast, and it's possible that for some people to go from Florida and strike at a target and come back. We have attempted to discourage it for a number of reasons. We believe it's ineffective. There was a raid conducted in Cuba, left around the evening of the 17th and 18th, that shot at a Soviet merchant ship as a target of opportunity. It returned. A number of the people who took part in it came to Washington and held a press conference. It doesn't seem to us that this represents any real blow at Castro. It gives additional incentives for the Soviet Union to maintain their personnel in Cuba, to send additional units to protect their merchant ships. It will bring reprisals, possibly on American ships. We will then be expected to take a military action to protect our ships, which may bring a counteraction. I think that when these issues of war and peace hang in the balance, that the United States government and authorities, and when American territory is being used, should have a position of some control on the matter. So we don't think that they're effective. We don't think they weaken Castro, and in fact may assist him in maintaining his control. And I don't criticize these men who took part in this. They're anxious to see their island freed. We distinguish between those actions which we feel advances the cause of freedom and these hit-and-run raids which we do not feel advance the cause of freedom, and we're attempting to discourage those.